morning, friends. How are you doing this morning? Hope you're doing all right. See, just want to make sure you get a good view of the bananas in front of my laptop. No, I'm joking. Here we are. We're about to get started. It is 5:19 a.m. I am sorry, the dishwasher is running. And it is running because I forgot to run it last night. And we do want to have clean dishes at the start of the day. And I forgot to detach the heart rate monitor from the heart rate belt, which is a surefire way to make sure that the heart rate monitor runs out of battery. But here we are, 5:19 a.m. You know, there just seems to be a natural rhythm to life. There's not a lot else I can say about it. And that natural rhythm seems to be that I wake up and no matter what I do or how quick I try to be, sorry about the crackling here, no matter what I do or how quick I try to be, getting ready for the stream after I wake up just takes 30 minutes. There is nothing to be done about it, nothing to be said about it, nothing to be changed about it. It is simply the way this works. And you know, that got me thinking, maybe there's also a natural rhythm to other things in life, such as health and fitness. Quite likely, would you say? By the way, I'm preparing the breakfasts here so that when I go out for a walk, the oats get nice and tender, and then they cook slightly quicker upon my return, which is exactly what we want. But I just realized that this morning. I woke up on time the moment I hear the alarm, because I sleep with a sleeping mask, which I think I've told you about, but we can talk about quality of sleep a little bit if that's something you're interested in. So I get up, and it is not even 5 o'clock yet. Then from there, I brush my teeth, get dressed, put in my contacts, because I definitely don't have 20/20 vision. And I come downstairs, and there's always something that I need to do before I can start the stream, even if I've set up the mat and the kettlebells and the foam roller and whatnot. There's always something that just needs to be done. And then doing that something, setting up the, clipping on the mic, setting up the camera, and then getting to work on this, it just always takes 20 minutes. So it's always 5:15-ish before I'm actually standing here. And I'm like, okay, now we're ready to go. And I honestly think that you might get the same rhythm for your general health and fitness in life. What do I mean by that? Well, just like my morning has a rhythm, life also maybe has a rhythm. For those of you who are watching, my name is Toby. I am 41 years old, and I train to live an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep. I try to get between 7 and 9 hours in a night. I do so by minding what I eat. I try to eat within my energy balance, 2,200 calories. I try to Eat a lot of vegetables, because I've understood that if you eat vegetables, you are going to be healthier and live longer. And those are also my goals. And I try to eat sufficient protein for my longevity, strength, and muscle building goals. And there seems to be a little rut there, because it seems to be that the amount of protein that is ideal for muscle growth, so growing bigger, stronger muscles, versus the ideal amount of protein that is required for long-term health and fitness, there's a discrepancy there that I am trying to wrap my head around, and every day I learn a bit about that. It's got something to do with how proteins activate, I think IGF-1 they call it. I'm not a scientist, don't hold it against me if I get something wrong, which is like a growth hormone, and some other pathways, something TOR they call it. I'll get the terminology right at one point, which promotes the incidence of cancer as well, if there's too much of it in the body or something like that. So there is a trade-off between the amount of protein we eat and how strong that will make us and how fit that can make us, versus the impact on our long-term health. And apparently it's like 0.70 or 0.80 grams per kilogram of body weight, predominantly plant-based, supposedly, that might keep us healthiest, longest. And the question I have is, well, given the intensity of my sports, given the fact that I need protein to synthesize and regenerate and build stronger muscles, where do we land on this conversation? Not sure yet. So sleep, nutrition, training, strength training, with a heavy kettlebell, but I injured my back a bit over 3 weeks ago now. I'm on a good path to recovery. We're going to keep recovering smartly, but that does mean that I need to take it easy. And there are still a couple of moments where I just feel that my back is not quite there yet. There shouldn't be any permanent damage, but obviously I lifted wrong. The nerve, the spine, the muscles all took a hit and are recovering properly, and I'm going to give them sufficient time to recover properly, which means that overall my general health and fitness, specifically in the strength and strength conditioning department, is going to suffer. A month of training is going to come with a significant setback, given all of the progress we've made. I mean, we were working with 20 and 24 kilos. At the end, we were swinging the 16 kilo kettlebell 200 times in 10 minutes. There were a lot of good things, so to speak, happening there, strength conditioning capability-wise. It was a really stupid mistake, one that I shouldn't have made, but here we are. The mistake was made, and I'm suffering the consequences. One of the main principles: don't get injured, right? Because if we get injured, we can't train. The only things I do now is foam rolling, mobility, and walks. So I'm a bit more mindful of my nutrition to be even sure that I will maintain my weight. And I even, by being so strict with my nutrition, started to lose weight. I lost about 2 kilograms of fat and lean mass. It always goes hand in hand, but it seems to be predominantly fat. I'd like to keep that off. So now we're going to wait for the moment where we can try and build muscle again through training, given the eating pattern that I've established for myself right now. So yeah, there's strength training, strength conditioning training, because I work with kettlebells, a lot of swings, two-handed, single-handed, a lot of every minute on a minute work. So there's just a very big difference in the adaptation and the outcome that is going to drive. The coffee machine is starting to buzz, just in case you can or cannot hear that. Ooh, and that smells really good. There is conditioning, endurance, and HIIT training as well. Um, all of the different modalities geared towards driving different types of health benefits and adaptations for me in life, right? So if I am training um, endurance, long-term walking, 45 minutes to 90 minutes, long runs, 60 minutes, versus a 20-minute sprint, 1-minute sprint, or high-intensity run, 1 minute rest, 1 minute sprint, 1 minute rest, or even shorter sprints, just running up the hill, walking back down, running up the hill, walking back down. I'm training all different kinds of aspects of my general health and fitness that I think are important and worth the upkeep, because we need different modalities of health and fitness to be generally fit and healthy, because that's the thing that we're after here, right? I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. So I train mobility as well in that mix. And I tend to spend time with people I love and care about, do things that I enjoy, and generally try to live a stress-free life. That's what the channel is about as well, right? This is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I'd like to feel generally fit, capable, and competent for whatever life is going to throw at me. We've got a few more minutes before I go out for my walk. I'm going to make it to the forest on time for dawn, and maybe I'll catch the deer and the rabbits and the owls as they are settling in for the evening, well, for the day, to avoid people, or as they are enjoying the morning, so to speak. But yeah, this is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I am 41 years old. I have very little interest in looking like a magazine model, or what we nowadays would call an Instagram model. And I'm way more interested in what is going to keep me healthy and fit for life, so that I can be a good father, perform in my career, and do the things that I enjoy in a schedule that has a lot of demands and commitments and responsibilities within it, because a lot needs to get done in a day, right? But I also have a responsibility to myself to stay fit and healthy, but I have a responsibility to my family, to be a caretaker, to be a good husband, to be a good father, to be an active part of everything that goes on. I have a responsibility at my work to show up and do the best that I can for the hours that I'm paid. And you know, I just generally want to participate and do things that I find interesting and enjoy, and I want to have the energy and focus to be able to do that. And it's important to realize and understand that the better our physical health, the more likely we are to be active and to go out and do things. There's this funny interaction between how capable we are and what we then go out and do. The more capable we are, the more we're going to go out and do things. And I know this anecdotally also for myself, as I'm super capable, so I'm trying to lift heavier weights. I'm not capable because I'm injured and I'm not doing anything with heavy weights, whereas I know that if I would get back to it in 2 or 3 months, I would start lifting heavier and heavier again, right? So building that capability comes from sleeping well, comes from eating well, comes from moving well, comes from connecting well, comes from contributing well, right? Those are just 5 big areas of life that we can consider, think about, and make a part of our daily routine, or at least the daily reflection of where it is that we might be missing something. So, back to that natural flow of health and fitness that we started out of. There seems to be some honey here that my finger keeps getting stuck on. So there might be a natural flow to our health and fitness, right? There might be a moment in the day where it feels really good for you to work out. There might be a natural rhythm to when you go to sleep and when you wake up. There might be a natural rhythm to when you eat, how much you eat, when you want to eat. And there might be a natural rhythm to when it feels good to move and to do things. The trick is to find that natural rhythm in the optimals. What do I mean by that? Well, for me, 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep, preferably 8 hours, is really good. All right. I usually don't have afternoon dips. I usually don't. Kuromi, thank you for dropping by, saying hi. I hope you're doing well where you are in the world. It's 5:35 a.m. where I'm at, and I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. And I hope that some of the things that I'm saying are useful and interesting, as well as a chat about general health and fitness. So I lost my train of thought. Where were we? We were talking about general health and fitness, getting healthy, and I think I was saying something about natural rhythm, where there are times, where we do the optimal, right? And what I mean by the optimal is when we are sleeping sufficiently. Just talking about my sleep, 7 to 8 hours being good. Once I learned that, and once I noticed the difference, how I feel between 4 hours of sleep, 6 hours of sleep, 9 hours of sleep, and what happens with 7.5, 8 hours of sleep, I don't have the afternoon dips anymore. I have enough focus and energy throughout the day. I wake up feeling rested. I wake up feeling recovered. More sleep is probably going to be better, and something that I do strive for. Like, I would like to get up to the 8-hour mark regularly, but it's been a journey of more than a year actually to hit that 7.5-hour mark consistently. Now that I understand that, I also understand what is a good bedtime and a good waking time for me, right? The same is for nutrition. So it's not about weight, this is just about nutrition, about what we eat in a day. There's probably a bit of a natural cycle in terms of when we wake up, what we would want to eat, when we get hungry, how much we eat, how often and frequently we eat throughout the day. And it's also taken me years to realize, to get to the point and to realize, what foods make me feel good, what foods give me a bit of a bounce in my step, what foods make me feel heavy, which foods make me feel bloated, which foods make me feel a bit sick. It turned out that I'm lactose intolerant. I learned a couple of years ago by exclusion. I think I've had it for probably all my life, but really suffered from it probably for 15, 20 years. But only realized what was wrong 7 years ago, if you think about that. So, and the effect of a food on my gut health, I immediately find it a bit harder to concentrate. I immediately feel my energy being sapped because of the negative effect the food has on my digestive tract, then, for example, right? So the same goes for training. It took me years to figure out the kinds of training that I enjoy, the kinds of trainings that I can be consistent with, the kinds of training that make me feel good, give me the results I want. It took me years to figure out my friendships, and it took me years to figure out that actually participating in communities and being a part of something that I naturally already tended to do. What role do I want to play there, and how do I fulfill that role in a way that is satisfying and gives me the energy and the inspiration to do well in life and to keep contributing. It's not the fact that, I should put it, not everything has to be easy. It isn't always easy to go to bed early. It requires some discipline. It requires some sacrifices, not keeping up with TV shows, for example. It is not always easy to eat well. Sometimes, whatever I eat, whatever I can get my hands on and enjoy it. But overall, over the course of the week and the month, generally, the nutritional value of my meals is very consistent. It takes some effort to figure out how to move well. It takes some effort to figure out how to maintain relationships and how to be a part of communities. But it all pays off in the end, and it has all got nothing to do with the way I look or the ability of me to go to a beach, take off my shirt and show off a six-pack, which I do not have, by the way. Plants and coffee, thanks for dropping by, saying hi, and I appreciate the shout out, and I hope you're doing well where you are in the world. It is 5:40 a.m. where I'm at, and I hope you're having a good end of the day or start of the day, depending where you're at. Geese, my friend, good morning. I hope you're doing well. I hope life is treating you well. And I hope that you are having a good start or end of the day. Over in Texas, I believe it is. And I'm going to have to wrap up the stream and head out if I want to make it to the forest on time. So friends, just keep these little things in mind, right? We have a natural rhythm probably to our requirement for sleep, our requirement for food, requirement for movement, requirement for relationships, a requirement to be a part of the community. Ooh, North Carolina, that's a state I don't think I've ever been to, but I do definitely hope to come to the United States one day and actually travel around and see everything again. I've been to Boston, New York, Texas, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Miami, Oregon, but there's a lot more places there that I need to see. What time is it in North Carolina anyway? I'm always curious what time it is elsewhere in the world for some reason. So understanding and knowing that natural rhythm for ourselves, and understanding that these shock diets and these shock trainings and these, shock sleep regimes and they are all ways to learn and explore maybe what works and doesn't work, but anything that is too extreme generally is not something that we can keep up over the long run. So what we're looking for is this thing that we can consistently do over a long period of time, let's call it our lifetime, and it can evolve and change over time depending on the situation and the requirements or the needs we have at the moment. But generally being healthy requires a lot of rhythm and regularity. So try to understand sleep, try to understand nutrition, try to understand movement, try to understand exercise, relationships, community, in your own way, at your own pace, and see it as a way to figure out what will work for you over a lifetime and what will work for you in this moment, because those are two things that we need to balance. So for example, we are going to go on holidays and we're going to be in a different place, and there's going to be a different sunrise time, a different sunset time. It's going to be a different level of energy with the kids. It's also time for me and my wife and me and my family to spend whole days together. and to explore and find and have different experiences together. So if we go out to a nice restaurant, do you think that I'm going to be very mindful as I am day to day, about what I'm going to eat every time we do that while we're there? Probably not, right? Because we're there to have the experience, the social experience of food that I've talked about, right? The relationship aspect of it, the talking, the bonding, the enjoyment of a good cook preparing something delicious and tasty for us. Am I going to be as rigid about my bedtime as I am here? Probably not, even though I would always prioritize sleep. I'll try to hit the 7 hours, but if we are out in the evening and it's a long evening and the kids still want to play on the playground, then maybe that is more important, especially in those 2 weeks, than my tight sleeping schedule, even though I do intend to be up to stream, but I can always catch up on some sleep on the beach or in the afternoon, because we'll have time for that, because we'll be on holidays, right? So overall, I know what works, what doesn't work for me right now, what I think what will work in the long time to keep me healthy and fit. But given the situation, we need to be flexible, because we have different goals. It's not all about, and this is about being a man and being a father, being a husband, being a human being. It's not all about optimizing our daily routine to be the best human being we possibly can be. Sorry, I've been around a bit too long to see how that works. I know some very successful people. I know some less successful people, and I see that they are unsuccessful. I mean, in terms of their finances, right? In terms of the businesses they run. There is no 4 a.m. club that is going to make you the richest, wealthiest, most successful, most muscular, most best-looking person in the world. It's a nice idea, but it's not necessarily true. There are people who do it, but it doesn't mean that they're at that level of success or health or fitness or wealth because they wake up at 4 a.m. That's a completely different conversation. So figure out what works for you. Be mindful of the long-term goals you have. Mine are to stay disease and discomfort-free for as long as I can, and to set a good example, and to be a good father and an active father for my children for as long as I can, and to be capable and competent for as long as I can in life. And everything that I try to do in health and fitness is geared towards those goals. Anyway, I hope that was useful and a good reflection on a Thursday morning. I am going to go out for my walk. Thanks for dropping by, friends. Remember, we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. It's the person we are today who's going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. So a bit of kindness is going to go a long way. There are enough people out there who want to put us down, so we'll lift ourselves up, all right? Hit that like button on the stream. Help me out, help the stream out, help people find the stream. Leave a comment under the video when it's published, or on my channel under any other video you find that you find interesting. I hope to get back to more intense strength and strength conditioning training in a month or so, but until then it's going to be mobility, walks and talks, and I hope I have enough to talk about to continue to be interesting. And remember, friend, the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So I will see you tomorrow morning. And remember, friend, subscribe.